1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of the Trial by Error Variety Show podcast. It's been a little lull in the releases, and that's definitely, my fault. Since I'm the guy putting this together, I apologize if you're an adamant listener. I do appreciate you listening all the time and wondering, hey, where the hell is this next episode? But I'm excited to give it to you because they're a really awesome band, and they contacted me from Stockholm, Sweden. So that's definitely a first for us. We got to talk about a lot of stuff, and I didn't necessarily keep all of it. There's going to be some extra content for our Patreon subscribers. The gist of it is here in this episode. But more importantly, I've got 3/4 of the album Unself in just this episode. The EP Unself by ClutterCulture. You can find it on Bandcamp and SoundCloud, Spotify, all those places. It's super awesome. The interview is short and sweet, just how we like it. So, without further ado, enjoy the show.
I'm indistinguishable from the rest, cause the rest is non-existent at best. Hence, my split vision of the world shattered over time when I decided to put matter over mind. I think an artist feels the same way as his art does. Something connected, it starts to sink its stardust. We pass the spirit from our fathers to our daughters. God got us, this is a star in all of us. I'm indistinguishable from the rest, cause the rest is non-existent at best. Hence, my split vision of the world shattered over time when I decided to put matter over mind. Mind. My world is electric impulses by the masses. The masses are lump of matter in matterless atoms. These pulses order my world in a certain fashion. I am scattered and spreading unordered patterns. I'm indistinguishable from the rest, cause the rest is non-existent at best. Hence, my split vision of the world shattered over time when I decided to put matter over mind. 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 I'm drowning in empty space, swimming backstrokes. My heart is shaped under this little black hole. I'm composed of all composers, and on that note, the world undivided gives me purpose more than lack of hope. I'm indistinguishable from the rest, cause the rest is non-existent at best. Hence, my split vision of the world shattered over time, and I try to keep my mind and the universe in line, cause I'm indistinguishable from the rest. See, the rest is non-existent at best. Hence, my split vision of the world shattered over time when I decided to put matter over mind.
Well, hello, guys.
Good evening, good evening to you, and very, very good good morning to me, for us.
Is it about, 2 a.m. up there?
Yeah.
Come a little closer to that mic. It's a little quiet on your end there.
Something like that, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's it.
There we go. That's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Welcome, ClutterCulture.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys on. I've been listening to the EP since you reached out to us, and I really didn't stop, especially today, knowing I was going to talk to you guys. It was just it was one of those I could just put on repeat, man, and listen to for a good couple of hours.
Cool.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Glad to hear.
Man,
Did you have a favorite track?
the Mulholland? That one kind of stood out to me, I guess, because I've actually been on Mulholland Drive, and there really isn't much.
Really?
To be honest with you, like that's hype.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That one stood out to me. I Like Village. Both of those. I don't know, man. The whole thing, like I said, I just put it on repeat and kind of treated it all as one entity. So I'll have to kind of pick out my favorite one, but as it stands, Mulholland Drive stood out to me.
Yeah, that's been a favorite across the platforms as well. Be getting a lot of likes and a lot of traction on that particular track.
Yeah, I think that's the one I prefer myself as well.
Yeah.
Maybe I think that's the best writing parts of the entire project, actually.
Well,
So we agree.
yeah, right. All that agree.
We concur.
Yeah, they're all people that live on Mulholland. And they're like, oh yeah, finally. Finally, people.
We're here.
We're here.
Let's make our dreams come true.
Yeah.
Where are you at when the truth comes? Twin goose jackets and goosebumps, boost brackets and loose guns, huge banquets and crude slums. Use the new shoes bumps, so close-hearted with open wallets. There's plenty to choose from. Excusing. The stream state is seemingly complex. A world of costumes and cosplay, reuse projects. iOS actors too upset to ever go offset. We minimize our lives to be objects and prospects. The concept of admiration will only leave you spineless. You were put on this earth to be the finest, the fighter on fire, the flyer to the highest. Your highness and desire to leave the entire club standing silent. A crash course in collision courses and violence. You're starving in the light and feeling mighty entitled. Lord knows the fire that keeps us inspired to walk over bodies of suicidal gunfire. It just seems that the light got odds for a bargain. Odds the target for target groups of the fallen. Dream about money and fame until we harvest. Contracts with clauses, a carcass for casual causes. Can hardly find a part for a partner. Narcissism eaters. Self-inflicted king, a dream sequence of being Caesar. Beating your cock like a lynch mob with your feet. I'm dreaming about fucking Diane, Betty, Camilla, and Rita till the rush is gone and cliches are sinking like quicksand. Shit, man, I need 50 grand for the hit, man. I need Remy and electrolytes to get lit, man. Life without kickstand, life for selfie sticks, damn. Your life orbits around crying. We wake up to find out that we have always been dying. Sooner or later you give in to the urges you're fighting. Follow or slaughter your dreams. This is the girl. This is the girl. This is the girl. This is the girl. Is this the girl? Is this the girl? Is this the girl? We leave with no clues, no traces, but we leave in new shoes, fresh laces. We know that these dreams will never come alive, but we still fantasize.
Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one.
Well, tell us about how you guys came up with your sound. Tell us how you came together as two artists making badass music right now.
I didn't even know we had a sound, but I guess.
No, that's why I would leave that question to you. But how we came together, we're actually old schoolmates from, from
middle school.
Middle school, younger than that, I think, like 6-7 years old or something. And we just kind of stuck together, and I don't know, one day we sat in a bar maybe 4 years ago, and we had both been out clubbing quite often at that time and deemed that shit, the music in here sucks and this whole culture just drives me insane and it's so shallow, and especially the inner city clubs in Stockholm, Sweden has this particular fancy pants culture that we just turned against. We said like, yeah, well, and what we focused on in that was that it doesn't matter what the fuck the music says, people will love it and dance anyway. So we came up with the idea that let's make a track like that and completely bash the entire culture around it and see if it actually works doing that. So then we started working on that and on other tracks, and then we kind of, that particular thing actually didn't happen, and it just kind of just spiraled on until to become this in the end.
It's been a long journey, changing band names and changing languages, because we started out in Swedish, had like 2 or 3 projects in Swedish,
something like that,
and then we just decided we wanted to reach out to more people and
branch out, and maybe when you go in English you get you can branch out into more specific groups, especially since we're rooted in hip hop, and the hip hop scene of Sweden is very, very centered on what you guys in the US are doing. So basically what you guys are doing in the US right now, the Swedes will do exactly that in 6 months, but in Swedish, and nothing more, nothing less.
Like what's trending in the US is...
So it's definitely that club, that BPM sort of stuff, that's trending right now, which is weird because we got out of that in the 2000s, the early 2000s, and really moved into this nice progressive bass-driven sort of stuff, and it's become very composed, and I thought we kind of got to the point where we were really challenging ourselves, and then all of a sudden the techno shows back up and everything's a remix.
Yeah. EDM. Yeah.
Kind of like a relapse.
It is. It really is. We need it. I gotta have that beat, baby.
Yeah,
escapism, basically.
Finding a way to get home. Throw me no bones, no invitations by phone. I will sneak in on my own. Finding a way to get home. Throw me no bones, no invitations by phone. I will sneak in on my own. Finding a way to get home. Throw me no bones, no invitations by phone. I will sneak in on my own. Finding a way to get home. Throw me no bones, no invitations by phone. I will sneak in on my own. Once led to the road of distinguished sneaking on my own.
Finding a way to get home, throwing no balls, no invitations by phone. I was nicking on my own. Finding a way to get home, throwing no balls, no invitations by phone. I was nicking on my own.
Yeah, it's crazy how much nostalgia is the trend, and I guess that's why I said, you guys, how'd you come up with your sound? Because there really isn't anything nostalgic I felt about it. I felt like I was experiencing something very new, and I listened to a lot of hip hop,
Cool.
and so there's
Yeah.
a lot of the instruments, or I guess a lot of the what do you call them, machines stand out to me, the different tones I notice when people are using Fruity Loops and stuff like that, and you guys just kind of have a very unique approach to using whatever platforms you have, because I really couldn't pin it. I couldn't.
You can hear what we were using, or the program we use, like Ableton and FL Studio as well.
Okay.
But we're influenced by many weird scenes in the US, mainly. Like the LA beat scene, it's a big influence right now. And yeah, East Coast as well. I guess we grew up on East Coast music, so I guess the
I'd say so.
vocal approach is more stems from there, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's many different influences, and we're just trying to find our own thing, really. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, the whole goal of it all has been in some way that, to root ourselves in hip hop, but not necessarily cling on to the common stereotypes and the common model of actually making hip hop, and instead taking influences from several different spheres in order to make something that we find appealing to ourselves. We're kind of relaxed and laid back kind of guys who doesn't get out much, and so it's kind of the soundtrack to that. The whole point of it is that you're supposed to be able to play it, as you said, on repeat and zone out a bit, as well as making the effort of actually listening and finding the details.
So who writes the lyrics? Who writes the music? Or is that collaborative all the way?
No, that's not that collaborative. In the end process of actually putting down the track, I would say is more collaborative than the initial creative process. Since Freddie writes, he composes the music straight up and down. I hardly touch it even, and I write the lyrics.
So it's, yeah. And then we come with pointers and help each other out in the process.
Yeah.
And did you do all the producing and mixing? Was that all done on your end entirely, or?
I produced all of the songs and mixed them down, and then we send them to a mastering guy.
And for that to be said, due to the fact that we actually do hip hop, it's kind of important to point out, I think, that you have actually made this shit from scratch. Like, we don't work with samples at all on this project. That it's a blank canvas.
Pretty much,
you have painted, yeah.
Yeah, it's very original. The part one and the part two, what inspired that was that sort of a flow over into, because I noticed the hook, right, and was the same on the beginning as it was, or in the second one as the entire hook in the first track. Am I correct on that?
But pretty much. There is actually a pretty fun anecdote because when we started this project, it started with the idea for the village, and that was just it. There was no part 1 and part 2 at that time, and parts of the first verse I wrote 2 years ago, and while we were doing Swedish stuff, I wrote just for fun and then put it away in a drawer somewhere. And then when Freddie pitched the idea that, yeah, maybe we should, branch out and switch language, I picked it out of my drawer and said, yeah, well, look at this. He said, like, yeah, well, that's cool. So, try to continue to work on that. And I spent like 3 weeks on those lyrics, and it turned out pretty good. And as we were recording this track, Freddie just started doing something with the keyboard and played a loop, which is this double time.
The bass line in the second part.
Exactly, the bass line and the drum beat for the second part. And Freddie said, like, yeah, we could, do like a part 2 out of this. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then I, went back, sat down, and, since we were kind of in the zone, I said, okay, let's try putting down the lyrics right away. And if part 1 took me 3 weeks, part 2 took me like 9 minutes. I believe. So that was the part 2 is a real spur of the moment, so to speak.
I don't know why I called it Tiny Village. I don't know. There's another rapper, Watsky. Have you heard of him?
Watsky?
Watsky, yeah. He's got a series called Tiny Glowing Screens, and there's 3 parts to that. I think I might have got it confused.
Yeah, it happens.
Matter Over Mind, too. That was a really good one. That one's catchy as hell. Where did the inspiration for that one come from?
You mean the lyrics?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the lyrics. I actually wrote that. I work as a high school teacher, so I actually wrote that over a lunch break because during the morning I listened to a lecture by Neil deGrasse Tyson where he spoke about the composition of stars and the creation of the universe, and how the same elements that came from that exploding star also is the same element that composes everything, including us as humans. And he made the simile that looking up at the stars is basically looking at yourself. And I found that so fantastically intriguing and beautiful at the same time. So I just went with it and put that in the context that that basically it's taking science to a philosophical route in a way, and questions the meaning of us as humanity in a scientific context.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff, and I heard a really funny interview with him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Have you guys heard that? The Joe Rogan podcast?
Barely.
I think I've seen a clip or two, yeah.
He has some really interesting guests. I mean, from all spectrums. Neil deGrasse Tyson to people who have left Scientology after spending 35 years in it, to master bow hunters, to big wave surfers and major athletes. I mean, just all kinds of cool stuff.
That's kind of the gift and a curse to sit face to face with a person like that, because, it would be so cool to do that, but that you would be intellectually beaten the fuck up.
Totally.
Not a chance.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of the science, even on that end, is just speculation too. So Neil, that's a lot of just calling that bluff. Like, how do you know that? We don't even know that, Joe. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I tried to put into these lyrics, that there is certain things that we don't know, but what we do know, how do we apply that into our lives? How do I see myself knowing that? Because a lot of these scientific things can make a person feel very small and insignificant, whereas I think that it should be the exact opposite.
Yeah, we should find some sort of comfort in the ability to know, and that's it. Just leave it at that. Like, I mean, we're so aware. I think we're over aware, maybe, is our problem. most animals, they're very aware, but they're aware that they need to survive. I think we know we need to survive, and then we know we need to achieve things, and then we know we need, the list just goes on and on and on. So
Humans are too smart for their own good.
Yeah.
Like overthink everything.
So we base it on this, and then we get a pinch of that, and just a pinch of this, a can of that, and just a little slice. Then you serve it cold and cut it. Mix in my cocktail and I base it on kind. I pinch a niche and I pinch a discard. A can of abacamas and a slice to condelax. Serve cold with a cold and cut it with max. Shug it down and I keep knocking him out of the park. Racing the bar, body with the art is that hard. But the heart keep documenting flaws, took you too far. Watching Tyson bite the grass and Tyson reach for the stars. I went from Berlin to Mali to Darwin to Dawkins to Hawkins. Go all in, I keep on falling into the well of knowledge to keep on calling for the next installment. On every path I'm walking, I always fall face down in the library hallways. I got a court case between a rock and a hard place. A small space to sit for some coffee and read about ignorant empires falling piece by piece. It takes a village to raise a child, and the mind of a child to keep the village alive. Keep me up all night, read my mind. It takes a village to raise a child, and the mind of a child to keep the village alive. Keep me up all night, read my mind. It takes a village to raise a child, and the mind of a child to keep the village alive. Keep me up all night. Read my mind. I think you read a story about love and hate. You can learn a lot when you learn to conversate. In this village we learn to let go of all our dreams. When we see that nothing's even close to what it seems. I think I spaced out in the zone as soon as it was on. I don't mind a mind state when my mind is blown. Reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Thinking about who will walk along the inner life alone when we're gone and the world has finally left us behind. On ill-printed paper where you'll never be defined. Confusion, baby, I think your sense is on the line. Confusion, seeing this guy for the last time. The past times in a pastime paradise in your mind. Behind the cloak, I saw a fair share of lies. A pair of mine, a pair of yours. Breaking diamonds in a dime's thin line. A comparative force that never gave us peace of mind. Cause we're struggling between increase and decline. I've been standing on my feet, but my feet wasn't mine. The eyes I see through are not my eyes, but it's clear. I gotta get out of here. It takes a village to raise a child, and the mind of a child to keep the village alive. Keep me up all night, read my mind. It takes a village to raise a child, and the mind of a child to keep the village alive. Keep me up all night, read my mind. I think you read a story about love and hate. Special, you can learn a lot when you learn to conversate. Talk to me. Cause in this village, I think we did it wrong. Since we make our moves, but refuse to move alone. I think that little story says not a thing. I never saw the world that I'm living in. Cause in this village, I never feel grown. But if I never leave, I can never come home to the village.
it's the same thing, just a blessing and a curse in that as well. I think it's more and more nowadays, the ability to send love in every direction is profound. The way that we can communicate and just close the gap from oceans and I guess seamlessly talk about the same things that we're talking about at home with our friends over a Skype conversation. I can talk to whole bands. I can talk to people in different rooms and connect those calls. And it's crazy how often we use that just to send some sort of hate rhetoric instead of trying to close the gap. Instead of sort of trying to figure out a problem. We just have so many trolls now.
You know, I've been on Twitter today with, getting bashed by Trump supporters. and I think a big root to this is that we have gotten in the social media field, we have gotten so incredibly competitive that the will to understand each other has completely gone out the window, and we have renounced the discussions and turned to debates, which is a completely idiotic form of expressing free speech, because it's rather that you take a stance that you're gonna believe in no matter what the other fucker says, and then you're just gonna push your agenda and nobody's listening to anyone, instead of actually picking something up and taking something away from that conversation.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be the case with a lot of these leaders. It's not necessarily just our leader, although he's such a buffoon. A lot of these people are so hard-headed, and they just feel like they're so right. I've been a politician for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you've lost touch with what's really going on. It's
potentially.
Yeah, I think us as struggling musicians, or just as working musicians, I think it's really important for us to voice our strongest opinions. I mean, there's plenty of love songs, and there's plenty of I guess, what do you call them? I guess ass shakers. There's plenty of those. There's less of just people trying to change minds, trying to persuade people that there's another perspective. And I'm really glad that you guys reached out to me, because I might not have found you. I might not have been able to find such cool music, because that's what I feel like it is your words are sending a signal of just kind of think for yourself,
Yes, and I think you put your finger on something extremely important there, because as you say, there are many love songs and ass shakes. However, the influential music that actually tries to send a message more than often comes off as preaching, as you should do this, or you should think like that, and you should commit to my visions of the world, which is not at all what we're trying to achieve, rather than, have you guys thought about this? Have you ever stopped for a second to actually question your own beliefs and your own outlooks? So rather than sending our message, we're trying to, just raising questions rather than giving answers, I would say.
Or provoking, making it provocative.
Provoking, yeah.
Yeah.
Since, you've really only been together for 4 years, like you said, 4 years ago, kind of getting together at the bar kind of thing. What is it like now? You said it took you 3 weeks, and then the other one took you 9 minutes. Do you find that overall, every time you get together, you kind of come there with a kind of a wrecking ball sort of feeling, like, man, I hope you have a beat ready, because I just have something I want to say,
Oh, that is a tough one. I'd say we work so much on this, so I would say that what has really developed us is that no matter if it's a shitty day and it doesn't go good, or you come in with, as you say, the wrecking ball of ideas, it's not really the most significant part anymore, because rather than these rock solid ideas and these massive waves of inspiration, I think our motto is hard work, and that is that. So even if you feel down and it's been a tough week at work and you're tired, that doesn't fucking matter. You go in and you do your stuff, and you don't walk away until you're done. And I think that has been a big contributing part to our development, and especially our way of working together, because it's easy to it's a creative process, and it's two minds who are supposed to be thinking alike, but of course no two minds always agrees. So there comes conflict, and you just struggle through all of that, and that's where you get result.
And we also have the luxury of being best friends and having known each other for the majority of our lives. So we get together pretty well. So when inspiration strikes, it's easy to just get work done.
And roommates as well, so it's kind of a constant work progress. It's never like, we do this on Thursday. It's all the time.
Yeah, man, you guys are nailing it. Living together.
We're trying to.
You know, I mean, as far as being friends since middle school, you can kind of see if somebody's struggling. I mean, how much closer can you get? You know, like, I know how to help you here. I've seen this 100 times.
But since I left the village, I won't be the same. Still barely thought wanderlust would ease the pain. I wanted to feel the way that every song was saying. Reality schooled me when I met it along the way. Hate is gonna hate, great debate. Take the bait. Failing was wonderful, cause we make the trade. So I can never come back to the village, my child. Cause I know coming back would never come back in style. And I smile, cause you read about how I read a lot. I just had to get to the end to see the plot. The dream of that won't seem to stop, the dream is lost. But since I left the village, I've been free as fuzz. Knowledge is power in these books I'm eating up. The reason for freedom you see when you've seen enough. So I can never go back to the village, my child. And the home that you know you will leave in a while. And I smile.
I remember what I was gonna say. The other side of hip hop that is the most popular is the ego side, and that's the part of it that kills me too. And I can see how some writers use that to build up their audience. Like, you know, you can be just like me, build your ego up just like me, that kind of thing. Which it can be dangerous. You know, it can be dangerous, but at the same time, I think it only gets dangerous when that particular speaker, that particular writer, rapper, whatever, is just a nonstop ego, you know. And I really hate that so many people put that up on a pedestal, and the stuff like ClutterCulture is doing, or Hobson or Watsky or Spose, or Dan Lesac's Scroobius Pip. Just there's so many badass MCs that are not writing love songs, and they're not writing ass shakers. They're writing the provocative, the make you think songs, and they're just getting swept under the rug for Jay-Z and Kendrick, you know. And yeah, I mean, they're great lyricists, but they're egos, you know, and their egos is what got them that far. And I think that's why so many people are dragging on to that trend. It's like, I have to have an ego or I won't be that successful. And
exactly, that's kind of what I was jesting at before when we talk about escapism. That, you know, it's especially, I would say, in the Western societies of this day, that we have so much fucking shit, we have so much stimulants, we have so many opportunities that life kind of just gets dull at times. So one would argue that it's so easy to get stuck in this constant state of normality. So in order to get away from that, you kind of need some, you know, hustler bitches and hoes kind of shit, and, you know, make it rain and all this fucking stuff. Just because
mindless.
Yes, crap. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
But
like,
then again,
that's
it's
how I
also
look at most
yeah.
country music, though, is mindless crap. Not all.
And funny. And funny, you should mention this, because this EP is the first part out of 3 where we will speak about identity on 3 different levels. So the main theme for Unself here has been, you know, our cultural identification as a society and our identities bouncing off each other's. Meanwhile, the next part will be more introvert and exploring, you know, the identity of us as an external factor, where this whole ego thing has kind of, I don't know, in the writing process I've kind of overcompensated, and it all started with, we were actually at a Danny Brown concert, and the whole concert, when he was playing here in Stockholm last fall, and we went for a coffee after, and Freddie, I was like, yeah, well, what are your complexions? And I started with like, yeah, well, I think I look way cooler than I actually am, and things like this. And we just kind of bounced from there into making the next part about just questioning yourself, because now we have questioned the identity of people in our society, and now moved on to, yeah, but what the fuck am I really?
I guess that kind of gives me a new perspective on the whole ego thing in general. Just, I guess if you're really trying to bleed it out, you have to be honest, and everybody has an ego. So, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, well.
I mean, because it is important to write about yourself. It's important to introduce yourself so that the other part of your writing is a comparison. So I think that definitely kind of put me down a notch as far as I still feel like there's way too much of it, you know. It's overcompensated in the bad way, and you know. But you're right. We need the gun, bitches, and bling. Were never a part of the original elements and never will be. That's a Scroobius Pip lyric.
Yeah, definitely. What we're merely trying to do is, you know, to show a human side to the music and actually speak about reality. Like, take for instance, this is just something from the top of my head, but you know, like, half of the fucking world has stomach issues. I've never heard a fucking song about that.
Yeah.
And
true, yeah.
and it would you know, it would be a reflection of actual reality, and that's what we're trying to achieve here.
I'm gonna have to wrap it up.
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you guys for taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
So much for having us.
I'm gonna do my best to share everything that you guys have out so far, and if you'll just tag me in some new stuff whenever you get, you know, videos or new EPs or whatever, I'll be sure to share that too.
Of course. Awesome, man. Awesome.
We will.
You guys have a great
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you too, and we'll do this again after the next part then.
Yes, please, definitely.
Take care.
Later. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. I've actually downloaded that episode from Bandcamp and from SoundCloud just to pay for it. And it's a great album to listen to just all the way through without all the interview and stuff, you know? So definitely go check that out. Thank you guys for listening to episode number 11 and all the other episodes before that. If you're wondering about the Cry Wolf episode that I pulled down, I only pulled that down because I'm waiting on better versions of the songs than the ones that we had in the original episode. We will re-air that one as soon as those dudes finish up in the studio. They're working on it. Also, in the upcoming weeks, I have interviews and music from Secondhand Band, from Amber Lamps, Stereo Fiend, Cat the Manapult, all kinds of really cool stuff. So Kaylee Miller as well. A lot of very different stuff coming through the channels, and I'm excited to get it all out there. In the end, I think we're going to have like 18 or 20 episodes for this first season, and then I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to have a baby, and I mean, I'm not pregnant, but my girlfriend is. And so we're going to prepare for that, try to figure out where to go from here, maybe work on a live event or something to raise money for the podcast. If you do want to support, and it's just like literally from $1 to like a $50 plan, it's nothing major, you guys can support us, and we'll keep you not only entertained with extra content, but we'll be able to just keep all the stuff free on this end as well. Believe it or not, it takes money to do this stuff, and I'm doing my best to pull it together and keep all this content flowing. So any appreciation via money would be awesome. I definitely am grateful for any other appreciation, reviews and subscriptions and word of mouth. And just I see people with stickers on computers and on the backs of their phones, and it's just really cool to see that. So thank you guys so much. I'm Chaz McRab, broadcasting from Bandera, Texas, the cowboy capital of the world. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Please, please, please take care of one another and follow the golden rule.